So hey everyone, Ranger William here from the Overmountain Victory National Historic Trail, bringing you episode 1 of our series, The Partisans United, Patriot Leaders and the Pursuit of Patrick Ferguson. Gotta get all that good alliteration in there. Now, our first little video talking about this was the introduction, talking about all these different commanders, how they're sharing command, they're choosing to be involved, kind of why we're talking about this, how we're going to be highlighting them. So this is our first actual examination of one of the leaders. So welcome. Episode 1 here. We're going to jump right into, fast forward through some of our maps from last time, my very rough borders. And here, Isaac Shelby. This is going to be our first guy we're going to really focus on today. There you go. Isaac Shelby. So at the time of this story, at the time of the Overmountain Victory Trail and Kings Mountain campaign, he's only 29 years old. So let's keep that in mind. A lot of these guys are very young. These are not like you picture George Washington with their white hair looking very regal. A lot of that white hair was powder. So these guys are in their 20s, in their 30s. I think the oldest officer that we have is going to be in his 40s. And they are leading thousands of men into combat. So 29 years old, Isaac Shelby. Kind of interestingly, you have his ethnic background. He's Welsh. His family immigrates from Wales in 1735. So this is not your usual Scot-Irish immigrant, but it's from a different part of the British Empire. His father, Evan Shelby, and mother, Letitia Cox. Isaac is actually their third child, their second son. And a little bit about his father, Evan Shelby, big woodsman right here. I mean, almost like a famous frontier ranger and scout for the British during the French and Indian War. Isaac Shelby, he hears about his father doing this. There's stories about Evan Shelby in the Forbes campaign of 1758, capturing Fort Duquesne from the French at the forks of the Ohio River. But his family is actually going to be a trading family, a trading business, based out of Maryland. That's where Isaac was born in Hagerstown, Maryland, born on December 11th, 1750, for those of you who want to celebrate a birthday. But from their Hagerstown store, you have all the damage done in the French and Indian War, the difficulty in trying to resume business, especially when you're trying to trade out west. And then you also have Pontiac's Rebellion or Pontiac's War out in the Great Lakes, right in the wake of the French and Indian War in 1763 into 64. And the trading business, the family business, cannot recover from that. So finally, in 1770, in December, the family decides to pack up and they head west. They pretty much follow the Shenandoah Valley, the Great Wagon Road, down through Virginia, following all the way to its western terminus, there where it reaches what is now the Virginia-Tennessee border. Now, from there, they move south a little bit. They find some land, and we're next going to kind of pick up and find them a couple years later in 1774. Now, 1774 is going to be Lord Dunmore's War. This is a big moment in kind of frontier history. This is the last, what you could call, colonial war fought in America. This is the last time you have a British official leading the American colonists. So you have Lord Dunmore, the Royal Governor of Virginia. This is a war against the Native American nations to the west, the Shawnee, mostly the Shawnee Nation. And this is all going to kind of culminate with plenty of skirmishes and murders, but you're going to have one main big battle at the Battle of Point Pleasant. This is actually going to be where Isaac Shelby is recognized for bravery during that engagement. He's going to receive a lieutenant's commission in the Virginia militia, and he's going to be used as part of the garrison at Point Pleasant. The governor is going to build a fort there until the peace treaties can be signed by all the different groups that were involved. But he's going to be there until June of 1775, when he stays on the frontier, but he leaves the military service and gets into the civilian field. And he's going to be as a surveyor, surveying for the Transylvania Company. The Transylvania Company is a really big deal at this time. March 1775 is when North Carolina Judge Richard Henderson, one of the founders of the Transylvania Company, leads the Transylvania Purchase, or the Treaty of Sycamore Shoals. This is going to be some claim it as the largest private real estate transaction in history. This is where you're going to have a bit of a dispute in the next couple of years between the white frontier settlers and the Cherokee Nation, where the white settlers say they purchased the land. The Cherokee, some of them say, no, you were just leasing the land. But it's going to be a big deal. A lot of territory is going to be claimed by this company. They send out teams of surveyors, including Isaac Shelby, and teams of road builders, including Daniel Boone, to go out into this new territory and get it ready for their future customers. So he's out surveying that in 75 and 76. And in 1776, you finally get a revolutionary commission to Isaac Shelby. It's going to be as a captain in the Virginia militia there in 1776, quickly promoted by then Governor Patrick Henry in 1777 to the quartermaster. Going to be part of the quartermaster department for the Virginia state forces, the Virginia militias, Virginia frontier garrisons. Isaac Shelby, who knows frontier life, he knows the trading business, he knows surveys and road finding, he can get supplies to where they need to be. So it's going to be as a surveyor, and now as a quartermaster. He's really getting familiar with the frontier of Virginia, which is now Kentucky, but claimed by Virginia at this time in 1777. Now his service is going to get another promotion. He goes from being the Virginia quartermaster to being a quartermaster with the Continental Army, the Western Department. So this is going to be any kind of frontier expeditions, or in the area of the Ohio River Valley, any American Army expeditions, any frontier outposts. It's going to be part of Shelby's job to make sure that they are getting what they're requesting. In 1779, you're going to see him get a kind of a little bit of a political promotion. He's going to be elected to the Virginia House of Delegates for Washington County, this now far western county there in southwest Virginia. And finally, they realize, we don't actually know where the border is between North Carolina and Virginia this far west. So now Governor Thomas Jefferson is going to make Shelby a major in the Virginia militia, make him as part of the head of the escort for the surveyors, the armed escort, making sure that they stay safe, that they stay on the right side of the line that they're finding. No funny business. They need to find out where the state is, and they head off between Virginia and North Carolina to find the line. It's actually while doing this surveying that Shelby realizes, after all of these commissions and all of this service to Virginia, that he is not a Virginian. It's in this survey that he finds out he's actually a North Carolinian. So he resigns the Virginia commissions and he goes back into the surveying business. He's up in Kentucky doing some surveying, picking out some land for himself as well, when he hears about the fall of Charleston. This is going to be May 12th, 1780. Let me try and move my little screen here. There we go. So now I'm up here in the corner, we're blocking some of the text. But May 12th, 1780, the British Army captures Charleston, South Carolina. Biggest British victory of the entire war. Whole Southern Continental Army just gone like that. And this is when Shelby hears about this. He comes back from Kentucky, back to his North Carolina home, raises a couple hundred men, and they come down to do what they can to help in South Carolina. This is going to be the first time he's meeting men like Charles McDowell and Elijah Clark, who he's going to end up fighting with a lot in the course of that year in 1780 and a little bit afterwards. And one of these places where he meets these guys, a cool little piece of trivia here, when he joins up with Charles McDowell at his camp, it's on the Cherokee Ford of the Broad River. This is going to be the same ford that the Overmountain men, as they're chasing Patrick Ferguson, trying to get to Kings Mountain, they plan to cross at that ford. But they're a little concerned that it's going to be guarded, so they go and use another one. But you have this idea of, these Overmountain men, these frontiersmen, they haven't really been down here before. They're kind of finding their way. No, they have prior military service in this same part of the Carolinas, especially, as we see here, this same river crossing that he's now making camp at. He's going to try to use a couple months later in October. But all through the summer, you see Shelby get involved with different military fights. Um, you've got the capture of Fort Thickety on June 30th. Um, So you've got the capture of Fort Thickety on July 25th, 1780. One of these great stories here where, without a shot, Isaac Shelby is able to intimidate the loyalist garrison of Fort Thickety into surrendering. So it's this fortified log home, large amount of defenses around the outside, almost 100 man garrison with hundreds of muskets, and Shelby is able to use his numbers and intimidate Lieutenant Patrick Moore into surrendering the garrison without a shot. You're going to see him clash with Patrick Ferguson's loyalists all throughout that summer. Battles at Cedar Springs, the Peach Orchard, one of these crazy running horseback fights, and then Musgrove's Mill, August 19th, 1780. This is going to be one of those bigger times. It's a nice big Patriot victory. These guys, they ride all through the night, through the day in mid-late August, South Carolina, oppressive heat. They find that Musgrove's Mill is very more defended than they thought it was, but they go and they lure the defenders into an ambush. They win the battle there, but they hear that the Americans have defeated at Camden just a few days ago. They are now on their own, deep in enemy territory. So these Patriot victors flee from Musgrove's Mill, get up into North Carolina, and some accounts say it's Shelby's idea to scatter and to wait until it's the right time to get back into the fight. So quickly moving on, kind of some of the rest of the things that he does here. You're going to see 1781. He serves as a peace commissioner for the American government with the Chickamauga Cherokee. He's going to come back into South Carolina to help fight in later in that fall and winter. Helps capture Colleton's plantation or Fort Farallon. Again, able to intimidate or bluff the garrison into surrendering. 1783, the end of the war. He goes back to Kentucky. He marries Susanna Hart at Boonesboro. Actually, at Boonesboro on April 19th, 1783. He's going to go on to become the first governor of the state of Kentucky in 1793. The U.S. Congress actually wanted a sword presented to Shelby for his role at Kings Mountain, and it's not until 1813, as a general in the War of 1812, that he finally gets that sword. He's going to be leading a lot of the Kentucky riflemen at the Battle of the Thames. He suffers some illness. He gets his right side paralyzed in 1820, and he dies July 18th, 1826, in Lincoln County, Kentucky, at age 75, recorded as passing from apoplexy. So this is who Isaac Shelby is. Some of his legacy today: he has 9 counties, 11 towns, and 3 U.S. Army installations named after him. So this is Isaac Shelby, our first of our frontier partisans. We're going to talk about Kings Mountain Campaign and the Overmountain Victory Trail. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Colonel Shelby. I hope you stay tuned, stick with us for the next part of our series, and I hope you enjoy all this information. So thanks for watching.